Hello, yeah, Rogan. Welcome to live number, I don't know, 145, 146, no, 145, I think. Welcome to the sunny island of Malta, where they seemingly get 300 days of sunshine per year. Johnny Ray, another utter wrong'un, joins the chat. Welcome, Johnny Ray. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. 146. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you for letting me know, because I can't touch anything in my phone now, because we've started. And because I'm kind of, I'm not with my computer, I don't have access to your comments. But please keep them coming. I will look at them later. So welcome to this particular live, not any different from a normal live. Evening, Adrian and chat says, actually, I've got to take my goggles off to be able to read that. No, I don't. Amanda Sky, I think. Rusty Mouse and Soul Rebel and Nikki Watson. Two kids, brother and sister from the street. Yeah. Right, we can talk about, well, we are going to talk about stuff. Hang on a second, is that Leeds? Because it's almost as if, because I'm not reading the newspapers every day, and I don't need to at the moment, simply because it's I look at things from the outside, and as I said to you a long time ago, we're talking 18 months now, about Sir Keir Starmer, and I just said to you, is he scaring you yet? And of course, he has on multiple occasions, not only you, but leaders from around the world. Nikki, I'll have a look at it in just a little while. If you want to give me any extra detail on the via email, if I can help in any way, I will. So Sunday, 2nd of February, 2025. Hi, Adrian and everyone. Karina Jane is in the body of the Kirk. Please allow a little extra space, because I think it's going to be quite a few. Literally in seconds, there's over 100 people, and not necessarily wiping their feet on the way in. Yeah, wrong, but smash the likes, because 100 watching. Oh, I say, and the chat is very busy. So Sunday, 2nd of February. Next live is going to be next Sunday, this Wednesday. I literally, physically can't be there for the Wednesday. I've got something to take care of. But the next live, we'll just miss the one. There was every chance that I was going to miss 3. So I've just made sure that there was something here for everyone last Wednesday and this Sunday. It is vitally important. There's been the free Tommy Robinson demonstration in London yesterday. I know that the mainstream media, legacy media, were trying to give it a spin in a particular way. And I think that just observing, it's down to people are just fed up. And we thought we were fed up after 14 years of Tory rule. And then we get 6 or 7 months, when was it, July, so it's kind of 7 months now, and we cannot believe, who's that again? Amalia. Amalia, it's a bloody, well, all I can say is it's the same temperature at night as it is in the morning, and it's beautifully sunny. We had a beautifully sunny blue day today, about 18 degrees. But it's the adrenaline. You'll notice I haven't coughed yet. The adrenaline, when it kicks in, just makes me feel a little cold. So at this time of the year, I can get away with it. It's January, February, deep midwinter, and I've just had to put a bit of a jumper on. Thank you for your concern, Amalia. So smash the likes, yeah, utter wrongin', man. 120 odd watching and 40 likes. Oh, blimey, you are a tough audience tonight. But I will tell you something. I have made notes. I'm going to talk. I'm just going to let everybody get their feet under the table. But there is something in Malta that I like history. And if I ever get a chance to do a degree, it would be a history degree. And what would I do as a specialist subject? Or it would be medieval, it would be Knights Templar, it would be sort of 1097, even though the Knights Templar were formed after the First Crusade, and they are Knights of the Temple, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, of which I have been a few times, and every time I go, it still makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. It's a beautiful, 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 breathtaking place. Both Jerusalem, the Kotel, or the Wailing Wall, as you may know it, Jerusalem, it was the number one on my bucket list. So coming to Malta to do some research around the Knight Templar, or the Knights, they've eviscerated any reference to do with the Templars here, which is most odd. So it looks like that the Templars, when they were persecuted by, was it Philip IV? King Philip IV of France, and some dodgy pope. They're all dodgy. I mean, the Borgias were the dodgiest of the lot, but there are, well, King Kiddie Fiddler, as far as I'm concerned, the Pope. Oh no, I'll rephrase that, because he's not a king, although we'd like to think he is. He's, because you know there's not only the white Pope, but there's a black Pope and there's a grey Pope. You do know that, don't you? You do know that the Pope isn't actually the most powerful Pope. It's just the one that is presented to you for your digestion, shall we say. So, been doing a bit of digging, so to speak, here, and what have I found out? I found out that the Maltesers are, well, they melt in your mouth, not in your hand, from what I'm led to believe, and they have this way. And what is this way that I'm talking about? Well, Holland have already legalized it. Various states in America have already legalized it. And the place we're staying reeks of weed. So I'm zero tolerance around a lot of things, including recreational gear. And so we tried to do something about it, and then we did some research and found that actually they've decriminalized it. And because Malta is part of Europe, I thought to myself, this is possibly where it's going to go for most of the European nations. Maybe they're testing it on a little island. And Malta is not just the one island, it's a couple of different islands. The Grand Harbour is beautiful and breathtaking, built, in my view, by the Knights Templar, because they were great seafarers, amazing seafarers. And so what little Malta has done, they've got Gozo to the north, where we visited and saw some stuff. We went somewhere today to actually see something that the guy that owns it purports it to be Templar. And I went to kind of check it out and kind of give it the three Hail Marys. But the bugger hadn't updated his website, so we didn't get to see what I wanted to see today. That will happen in a day or two. But it's this thing with recreational gear. So the way they've done it, you can't indulge yourself outdoors. You're not allowed to smoke it on the streets, but, and this is the kicker, you are allowed to smoke it in your own home for personal use, but you're also allowed to grow it for your own personal use, up to about 4 plants, I think. You're only allowed 4 plants in your home. And I know that growing the stuff is a huge cottage industry. Loads and loads and loads and loads. Well, I'm not going to go into it, but it's a fairly major industry in the UK. And you can't smell it on the streets, anywhere. You can't, because they're not allowed. It's against the law. But they've decriminalized it in your own home. I wonder if that would be something that the UK, because look, we're going to go back into Europe. Brexit doesn't exist. Starmer, he's a liar. 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 He's a fucking liar. Sorry, did my Tourette's just pop out there? Because we will get to yet another lie that we can lay at Sir Two Twat Tier Kia fucking free gear Starmer. And even though I try to remain level-headed, appropriate, proportionate, when it comes to that man, he just presses all of my buttons, my sweary Mary buttons, my anger buttons, my everything, everywhere, every which way button, because he's just evil. Evil. Do you understand what I'm telling you? He's evil. He even had someone, when you and I were in lockdown, we couldn't as much as piss out of our front door, and that man was having curries and beers and parties with other politicians, and now it turns out that level 4 lockdown, that man had a voice coach come over because it was deemed he was too wooden. So now we're going back into Europe. He doesn't care about you, doesn't care where you live or die, your kids, your grandkids. He does not give a flying fuck about you. Not one. Don't care if I'm swearing now. He's pissed me off. He doesn't care. They all don't care. I mean, Ginger Growler's having a go at bloody Andrew. Andrew, we know that he just shags. He's a shagger, but he was shagging a 17-year-old and gave her £12 million. What was that for, Andrew, mate? Didn't your mother kind of say, oh, Andrew, keeping in one's pants, darling? But she says, oh, that nonce. Oh, bigger Ginger Growler, knocking out kids at 15, slut. I mean, that's statutory rape. So why isn't she accusing the father of her child of statutory rape? Come on, Ginger Growler. You're the one that loves the law. You're the one that loves people doing the right thing. So at 15, knocking out kids, it's statutory rape. That's the law of the land. But is she going to come forward, mea culpa? No, fucking no. This Labour Party, it's evil. It's evil to the core. We're going to get to Charles Linton. Just Google Charles Linton and Bow Street magistrates. I tell you this on literally virtually every single fucking live. And nobody listens. He was fiddling with blokes in bogs. It's a bit like George Michael. He loved it though, George Michael. What does George Michael and a Wellington boot have in common? Both get sucked off in bogs. So let's get back to Malta. Because I don't know why I talk about this man or these people. I think I get angry because I was a card-carrying member of the Labour Party in my youth. My dad was a Labour councillor, a Labour politician in Sunderland. My mum and the rest of the family, we were all card-carrying members of the Labour Party. And it was in Sunderland, we dyed in the wool red. Tories, it's for bloody posh folks. No. And I just feel aggrieved that those that went before me, my ancestors, who fought for rights, who fought for doing the right thing, who fought for community, and who fought for people of Sunderland. Charles Linton. Anthony, if you wish. Tony Charles Linton Blair. When he got caught mucking about, he used his two middle names so that it wouldn't become publicity. Google it. You'll find out what he was up to with other blokes. And there was Sherry. I mean, she's a barrister. She's a human rights barrister. Fucking hell, we've got one of those in power. A PM. They're all these human rights barristers using their personality as contraception. Mind you, she's had, 3 kids? Carol Kaplan used to like to take a shower. Man, I mean, we've got Epstein, Diddy, everybody's trying to get one up on all the major players and politicians around the world. And these lives, I never, ever come to them thinking I'm just going to talk about politics. But I've said this to you before, politics is the entertainment arm of the military-industrial complex, who are not very happy with the Donald at the moment. But let me get back to Malta. I think it's the manipulation of the taxpayer, the man and woman on the street, who are going out, earning what they can, where they can, trying to put food on the table for their kids. And this evil that is in power. I mean, the Tories would take some beating. Jesus. Well, some of them would do with a table tennis bat. Some of them would auto asphyxiation. I can't actually talk about that at all in any video on this particular platform, but I can say it in the lives, because the lives are not monetized. So you've got a ruling class, the political class, and I was looking at some of the forts today and some of the ways that this island, World War II, if you want, it was until the 70s, I think it was 79, this island was British. So you can see red telephone boxes. I mean, you never see them back in Blaney. Telephone boxes and red post boxes, and most of the islanders speak both Maltese and English. And it's a beautiful place. People are very friendly. So, Tar Block Tracy, yeah, you're wrong, and budge up. I'm sure Tar Block Tracy will have something special for you this evening, those in the body of the Kirk. So it's this thing with recreational gear. What they do, the political classes, Ursula von der Leyen and all that kind of shit, what they'll do is they'll try it out somewhere, and if it kind of goes okay, a bit like, I don't know, Amsterdam and Holland, I think Belgium have legalised it or decriminalised it. So when I don't, Malta's tiny. My sphericals are bigger than this island, they're not big at all. And so the deal is, so long as you're taking it or using it in your own home, then it's fine. It's not illegal. And you are allowed to grow 4 plants. I mean, it just stinks. Part of the reason why I've never done anything like that is because I just don't like the smell. I just don't like the smell. And the streets go, we're in a city, the capital city called Valletta, and all the people, the kind of during the day, they're all doing this and doing that, and everybody's running around, and then it gets to kind of dark about, I don't know, 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then everything starts to quieten down. They're all like going back into their cells and getting off their tits on gear. No, I mean, I thought, no, if they're doing weed, they're not going to be violent, they're not going to be aggressive. So maybe the governance is, well, just let them have it in their own home. They'll be having a toke every night at home. So they're not going to be fighting. They're not going to be drinking loads and tons of alcohol and starts the fights. They're not going to be doing anything outrageous. They're just going to be home getting off slightly stoned. So I don't know whether it's a good thing or not. It's a huge conversation to have that countries or states in America have had, varying countries around Europe have had. I think, is it not legal in Germany now? So they'll release it slowly, the people that are seemingly are governing us, they'll release it slowly, and then it's a control mechanism. That's all it is. If you look at your food, if you look at your alcohol, if you look at your recreational gear, it's all to control you, to get you to do as you are told. And it stinks, in my view. But it was an interesting curveball, because I've been doing my Templar research and historical research, and it's just unusual. I've been in Vancouver. I was skiing a few years ago in Whistler, and we had a few days in Vancouver, and because it's legal in Vancouver, it's everywhere, literally every street corner. The whole place stinks of it. And it's not one of those, I just don't understand those that have to live their lives through recreational gear. See, I can't even say it now. The bloody Labour Party have got me so angry. People living their lives through the prism of recreational gear. I mean, how bad does your life have to be? You're a fractal of the ineffable, experiencing itself as consciousness. You are ultimately a never-ending being. And some people are, I mean, whatever gets you through the night, as John Lennon once sang. So that's what's going on. Valletta is a great city, vibrant city. They're a great seafaring nation, Malta. Do you know, I would take my hat off to the Maltesers, because from what I've seen from history, so there's the Templars turned into the Hospitallers, and they've even got an armory here in what's called the Grand Master's Palace, because they have the Knights Templar, and the Knights Templar had their varying things, and they morphed in, when they were done by Philip IV, and they were taken, and Charles de Molay, the leader of the Knight Templar, they were dispersed. They were given about 3 years. They dispersed off with the Ark of the Covenant and whatever they were going to do. They went to West Scotland, seemingly some of them. Some of them went down to Portugal. Those, because there was the Knights Templar, there was the Knights Teutonic, who were German, and there was Yugoslavian knights. So the knightly classes kind of scattered all over the place. They had about 3 years to get away with it. And de Molay was put to the stake. And when he was on the stake, normally, if you were of a certain class, they would give you some gunpowder in a small receptacle bag, if you wish, and put it around your neck, so that when you were being burned at the stake, I would think of a few people I would like to do this to myself. Obviously not on a street corner, because I think it would be deemed illegal, or I might be tarred right wing for speaking my mind. Charles de Molay was, as the leader of the Templars, was put, the Grand Master was put to burn to death, and normally somebody of that standing would be given some gunpowder, so as you were burning to death and screaming your head off, the gunpowder would blow your head off and kill you instantly. It was kind of seen as the right thing to do. If you're going to burn them at the stake, then put some gunpowder around the neck, blow their heads off. So 1314, you had de Molay and everybody kind of, the Templars eviscerated, but they scattered to the four winds. They scattered with all their riches and their money and their banking system. I believe that the Templars set up the banking system in Switzerland. I believe that's why you can't find anything to do with any sort of history in Switzerland pre about, I don't know, 1400-ish. I mean, you could get to Henry VIII in England, but the banking system in Switzerland appeared after that, and nobody knows where the Swiss came from. Wonder why that is. So the Templars became the Knights Hospitaller, and the Knights Hospitaller were those that looked after the pilgrims that were making their way to the Holy Land. They set up hospitals in varying places across Europe. So they were in support of those pilgrims and those people travelling from, if you look at the old Jerusalem in Nottingham, it's a pub. It's been there for thousands of years now in Nottingham, and it was a stop-off point for the pilgrims. The pilgrims would start there, would be taken wherever, although Nottingham is landlocked, you've still got the Trent to get them out to sea, and then down to London, and then away into Europe. And they would travel with varying stops for quite a period to the pilgrimage to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, of which the Knights Templar controlled and protected. So then they became the Hospitaller, and the Hospitallers were kind of, well, we're the kind of monk knights. We're people that support people, and we are people that look after people and protect people. And then, well, I've been to this armory at the Grand Master's abode, and within it they've got the night hospitallers set up in armour. And I thought, hang on a second, these were like the people that had hospitals and stuff. That's why they're called hospitallers. And they supported people and looked after people. And if the pilgrims were hurt or fell ill, then it was the hospitallers that looked after them. And then the hospitallers turned into the Knights of Malta. And then the Knights of Malta fled, I think it was Cyprus. And they came from Cyprus to Rhodes, from Rhodes to Malta, 1530. So there's this little, almost over 200 years in between where the Knights Templar disappeared and the Knights of Malta appeared in Malta. And I've been walking around, and the 8-pointed cross that the Knights of Malta use, and they try to say they're not associated with the Templars at all. Isn't Blair a Knight of Malta, Keith? No, he's not a Knight of Malta. He's Oniswaki Malipons. He's the Knight of the Garter. And I think there's only allowed 25 or 26 that are allowed to be Knights of the Garter. And John Major, ex-PM, Tony Blair was made one, and I can't fathom out why Blair was ascended so high within society just because he was PM. Now there's all these Tory prime ministers who can't get to wherever they're trying to get to because they can't go to the Lords or they can't go up the food chain until the other prime ministers ahead of them have been given their preferment, however you call it. So, in essence, that's just a little smorgasbord of Malta. They're dealing with what is evidently a scourge of society. Some people are like, "Oh man, Adrian, it's just this and it's just that." Well, okay, fine. You know, I'm not judging anyone for doing whatever they do. If it's illegal, it's illegal. But in Malta, it's not. In Amsterdam, it's not. In Germany, I think they've just made it. They've made it legal, not decriminalised, and I think it's decriminalised in Belgium. So it won't be long, and it will be decriminalised. Stuart says, really enjoyed that history lesson. Thanks, Rev. Yeah, welcome, Stuart. The stuff that we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about reform because Farage has made an announcement earlier this evening. We're going to talk about this DC crash. Something just doesn't feel right. It doesn't smell right about this Blackhawk. I don't know whether you know this name, Tony Martin. He was the guy that shot Fred Barris. And I have, obviously, knowing Newark the way that I do, because that's the sort of mother dojo of my ninjutsu, my martial art. Going to talk about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Going to talk about this caring, understanding 90s type that goes by the name Keir Starmer. Because I can call him a liar all day, every day. Up and down the street, up and down the dale, up and down every bloody county in this country. Because I don't know about you, but in my view, this government, for want of a better term, is the most corrupt, is the most inept, is the most criminal government in our Sceptred Isles history. And there have been some doozies in our time, some politicians, some kings and queens and ne'er-do-wells. But I can say corrupt and inept and criminal simply because if you are taking a freebie, in my view, from anyone, that's corrupt, because you sooner or later you're going to have to pay the ferryman. And criminal, well, they're wriggling like buggery, pun intended, to how can you give away how can you give away, without a debate in Parliament, without anybody knowing, without the taxpayers knowing, more importantly, how can you give away £300 billion of taxpayers' money, not government's money, taxpayers' money, me and you, when they're taking it out of our arse and saying, oh, we're going to tax you this. So the tax you on the money that you earn, and then the tax you on the money that you spend, and then the tax you on the money that you spend that you already paid tax on again. It's criminal. I wouldn't say it was a Ponzi scheme, but I would say that how can you, the tax level is the highest it's been for bloody years. And that takes some, considering the shower of shite that was in government before them, the Tories. So we're going to talk about him and Growler and Reeves and what's the other one? Wes Streeting, because they're all jockeying. Technical term we use in radio, especially Growler, knocking out kids at 15. Didn't somebody tell her? Statutory rape. Or do we just sweep that one under the carpet? Well, if we ever get to interview her, I'll be asking that particular question, but I can guarantee you she won't come anywhere near me. I was going to crack a funny there, but so we're going to talk about him, them, and what they're up to. We're going to talk about Lucy Letby in a strange way, because it looks like it'll get to a point where her sentencing, her guilty verdict will be unsafe. One of the newspapers the other day said, oh, no, she wasn't even there. She wasn't even there when one of the babies died. So we'll wait and find out. We're going to talk about British fire chiefs have come out and said electric vehicles, oh no, they're going to explode. Boom! And that useless prat, millipede, oh, net zero. It seems like he's the only one in the world, except Canada and Australia and New Zealand. We're just the latest little concubine that Klaus Schwab has decided that we need to do as we are told. And I am telling you this, Davos, WEF, the World Economic Forum, was only 10 days ago. Just over a week ago, 10 days ago, that's when it finished. And Rachel from accounts, which technically should be Rachel from complaints, because she was never in accounts, she was in complaints. So Rachel and her black hole in complaints was in WEF all week, and she's come back full of the joys of spring. And Starmer, the caring, understanding 90s type, is not really sticking his head above the parapet, is he? So I wonder whether Streeting or Rachel from complaints have been told they're going to be the next Labour leader. And the reason why I keep reiterating this is somehow, somewhere, somebody might actually go, oh, that's a first time for me, Adrian. I didn't realise that was going on. Now, for 18 months, this channel's been going 2 years, 2 and a bit years. And for 18 months, I have said to you repeatedly, Sir Keir Starmer, is he scaring you yet? I don't think he's scaring you enough, because I'm not interested in how you voted, because that's between you and your conscience. And I told you at the time, people were saying to me, what should we do? What should we do? And I said, vote with your conscience. And I just knew that people were going to vote politically with their party, not looking at the individual they were putting into power. And now we've just got a shower of shite like we've never known in power. So we'll talk about those feckers. And we're going to talk about this. Well, and I've got lots of questions I want to ask you tonight. We're going to talk about this character called Idris Elba. And is he a token or something around knife crime? Because there's Ant Middleton. He's come out and gone, I want to be Mayor of London, I want to be Mayor of London. Mind you, he might be Mayor of London quicker than he can shake a stick at, because there's poor Carnage. he gets some tickets to a Taylor Swift concert. And then the person or company that gave him the tickets to the Taylor Swift concert was given a £45 million contract by London. So tell me how that works. Because on any other day, I know it's a holy day, seemingly for some, if it waddles like a duck, quacks like a duck, swims like a duck, it's a duck. So Khan, who got a knighthood, and I did say to you, did he get a knighthood for making other people lots of money? Who bought him that? What did he get it for? Services to the underground. So this story is going to be managed out of the mainstream media, but it shouldn't be allowed to be managed out of the mainstream media because he's fucking corrupt. I want to know, I'll reiterate this a million times. If you're getting a freebie, it's corruption. If you're getting a freebie, somebody else is going to ask you, pay the ferryman. Why are you getting freebies? Because they think you look nice in suits worth thousands of pounds. What, because you've got nice glasses on? They think you look handsome on PMQs? Or you look really good when you're being eviscerated by Tory councillors in the town hall in London, you arrogant little cunt. So tell me, you got freebies. Yeah, you did. Taylor Swift. Tickets, I mean, that's bad enough. You should be thrown out of bloody politics. And I don't care about the swearing. I literally don't care about the swearing. If you don't like the swearing, fuck off. I've had enough. I've had enough. We've got a country that's so far down the tube. If you voted Labour at the last election, you are the problem, not the solution. I don't care. Just fuck off. Because we've now got a mayor of London that's taking freebies. And then the company that gave him the freebies has been given a contract worth 45 million quid. We had somebody, he was known as 10% Terry. Anytime there was a bit of a contract, 10% went to Terry. It's all, I don't know whether they're in their supposed intellectual arrogance, and these people are not intellects. They're not by any stretch of the imagination. There's Elon Musk, seemingly the richest man on planet Earth, and he's running rings around Labour. He said, oh no, I don't want the millibans. I don't want the millibans. No. Donald Trump was, I'm with you, Elon, we're not having the millibans. Oh, do we have to have that, that smarmy bastard, the fucking Prince of Darkness? Peter Mandelson, is he going to be the ambassador to the United States? Elon, it's fine. It's fine. He was best mates with Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein had loads of telephone numbers connected with Peter Mandelson in his book. So he's easily manipulated. We can tell that dippy cunt exactly what to do because we've got the CIA and the FBI have got all the evidence on him. Who he shags, where he shags, and why he shags them. They've got all the evidence. And now they're looking at two-tier Kia, free-gear Kia. The arsehole that purports to be the Prime Minister. They've got him because they know who he's shagging. His missus don't, and if she does, why hasn't she divorced him? Donald knows because he's the head of the Western world. And now you've got backdoor Starmer taking us back into Europe via the back door because his handlers at WEF, he was there a week ago, as sure as eggs are eggs. He was at WEF. Rachel from Complaints was at WEF. Ginger Growler has been at WEF. They're all taking their orders. Do not believe that these intellectual pygmies are coming up with these games because they think they're clever. They're being told what to do. And the Donald is sitting there, head and shoulders above them all, laughing in their face, laughing at Starmer. Oh, yeah, we had a really lovely phone call. Oh, here, mate. The country's seeing right through you. And what will happen, I'm predicting what will happen, and I have predicted this from before they got elected. Starmer was used to get Labour into power. Once they were in power, they're having little knife fights. pun intended, in the Labour Party, in the Parliamentary Labour Party. And people are setting themselves up to be the first female leader of the Labour Party, the first female Labour Prime Minister, because she is doing what she is told from WEF. Not Bilderberg, not Club of Rome, WEF. And she went to the Chinese pissed themselves laughing at her. She's a joke. And why did they laugh? Oh, how are you, man, Xi? Look, I've screwed up the economy and I need a few bob. Can you lend us a fiver? What do you mean, a fiver? 500 million. Is that all? Rach, is that all? Well, yeah. Do you know when I ask for more? How much can you give me? Well, if we give you more, and remember, this is Starmer the liar, inward investment. Who is giving you that gain money, Kia? Chinese are already at it. So who else did Rachel from Complaints chat with? Oh, fuck me sideways. It was Larry Fink, Blackrock in number 10. Oh, you were there, Kia, weren't you, mate? So this inward investment of billions, and now we're taking 10% of the farming land, and this was predicted. Ed Millipede, we're taking 10% of the farming land, and we're going to put green energies on them. What? Yeah, we're going to put green energies on them. Why would you do that? The land's for growing food. Yeah, but we need some more wind turbines. Yeah, we need more wind turbines. And, well, the wind turbines don't really work when it's windy. Do they not? No. And we can't get rid of the turbine blades because they don't biodegrade, Ed, mate. Right? But what about the solar panels? What we're going to do is we're just going to fill the fields with solar panels and you're seeding the clouds so we don't get any sun. What a bright spark you are, you cunt. Aren't you, Ed? Oh, sorry, I forgot. You're taking your orders from the WEF. You're taking your orders from the Marxist arseholes in Europe. They want us back in. And let me tell you something else I've worked out. Remember Ireland? Can you remember the tiger economy? So Southern Ireland went into Europe. Tiger economy, it was going great guns. It was brilliant. It was, Ireland had never had it so good. Dublin, they were building and building and building like it was going out of fashion. And then all of a sudden the Irish went, I'm not sure. Should we have a referendum as to whether we're staying in Europe or not? And then the Irish voted out. Out. They voted out. And the Europeans that were giving them a shit ton of money to buy and build grey elephants suddenly went, you're not getting any more money. And Ireland said, well, what do you mean? You're not getting any more money. You either do as you're told and we'll have referenda until you vote the right way. And Ireland was like, no. So Dublin ended up with all of the stuff that they built. They didn't have anybody to buy them. I'm watching exactly the same grift go on in Malta. I'm watching exactly the same grift go on in Venice. The Venetians can't stay in Venice because the outsiders are coming in and buying up all the apartments because, well, the tourism dollar or the tourism euro. And now you've got the little islands who are like Malta and Gozo and the others around who are having stuff built. I mean, I've seen them. Oi. They're going up. And then you look at them, this is rather posh. How much will that one cost you? Well, about $500,000. That's London prices. And so Europe pumps all this money in. So what Europe does, and I'm using Europe as kind of a broad brushstroke, what Europe does is it says, we'll give you some money, we'll give you some money. And then Malta is losing its soul. And I've seen this with Ireland, I've seen this with the UK. Every time we would have I don't know, the gob on a stick would come out and have to say something. You would have the British flag, the Union flag. It's not a Union Jack until it's on the jack staff of a green boat. Yeah, wrong 'un. It's the Union flag. And I've seen the state flag, the local flag, and the European flag all on show everywhere I've looked in Malta. And do you know what that is? That's Europe saying, do as you're told, we'll give you money. Do as you're told, we control things. Do as you're told, we'll give you more money so long as you do it our way. And that's happened Europe-wide. The corruption in the European Parliament is breathtaking. Breathtaking. I was going to mention some politicians who went into Europe, but I shan't for the moment. So we'll talk Trump, we'll talk that clown Idris Elba. Clown. But let's give you some good news for today. A new poll's come out today. It's a Sunday. It's the Sunday newspapers, but they always sort of launch these polls. And Farage has come out, not out, he's just out. And he said that there's going to be a Birmingham rally on March 28th. Now, he's taking stuff from Trump's playbook. So we've now got Reform ahead in the polls. The last couple of weeks, it's sort of been neck and neck, them and Labour, them and Labour, them and Labour. The Tories are just finished. Now, I will make a prediction for you. It's not difficult to see. You don't have to be Einstein to work this one out. But the political classes are finished. They're finished. The way that politics is in this country is over, done, finished. The Labour Party, they will never, ever, 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 ever get back in their fucking government. Because they're evil. Evil. They're not going to get back in. They're lucky if they'll complete 5 years. The Tories, no, they're done. They're done. I'll ask you a question. Has anybody not asked Rich Boy Sunak how many drilling licenses did Infosys get to drill in the North Sea? Because he and his government gave them out, remember? But that went really quiet. So how many licenses have the Sunaks and Infosys, the in-laws, how many licenses have they got to drill in the North Sea? And Sunak went to WEF. They're all, you have to get the grift. You have to understand the grift. Every single politician, the only one politician that hasn't been bitten by WEF. Have a guess who that is? One politician out of 650. Have a guess who that is? Well, one that I know of. Nigel Farage. He's never been to Davos. He's never been to WEF. But all these grifters, they're at it. At it. And the way that politics works now, you keep your nose clean, keep your head down, make as much money as you can. I told you before, there are politicians that have multi millions in their bank account, and yet they're on 90 odd grand a year. They're on maybe a ministerial job, 120, 130, 140, prime minister, 160,000 pounds a year, and they have tens of millions in their bank account. How then does that work? I've said to you before, if ever I was given the job of being prime minister of this country, one thing I would do is this. Every MP can only hold one job, and that's being a member of parliament, representing their electorate. That's it. Nothing. You make 1 penny out of backdoor deals, and there's loads of backdoor merchants in the Houses of Parliament. If you make 1, you go to jail, and you go to jail for the rest of your natural life. Let's see if you fancy playing that game. Real simple. I would build dozens and dozens and dozens of high-tech jails. In there, 3 meals a day. Coffee if you want, have that kind of, touch your toes in the shower, make sure you've got the soap handy. Because MPs are not meant to be there to serve others, they're meant to be there to serve the people that elected them. They're meant to serve the people that, if you take Sir Keir Starmer, I mean, I'm sick and tired of the man. If you take Sir Keir Starmer, he said government for the people. Has it been like that for 7 months? Because honestly, my eyesight must be shocking. You can tell I'm now wearing glasses. My eyesight must be shocking because I've not seen him or his people do that for the people of this sceptred isle. How do we in shite, man? He literally just talks out of his arse. And then it's a different day, a different subject, a different way. Mr. Flip-Flop, he can't. So let's stick with Reform, because I'll get to that arsehole in a minute. So Reform, they're going to hold this rally on March 28th, coming up. 16,000 people at this rally. Now, I know that we've not really, politicians will go on the hustings, they'll travel around the country, glad hand people, say hello. People are just so inured by their celebrity. They go, oh, I say, Prime Minister. And yet when somebody assaults someone that wants to be a politician for his Clacton electorate, and somebody comes and chucks a milkshake at him, nobody protects him. Not even the police. He's now a member of Parliament. And when they say, oh, who told you not to go and do, go into your constituencies and your constituency and meet your constituents, he's like, I was told by the Speaker's office not to. And yet all these, there is only one word for the mainstream legacy media: arseholes. These arseholes that are questioning people who think they know better. Well, we know that Sky's about to go down the pan. Blowjob Burley, where did she go to? Is she still at Sky, or has she gone somewhere else now? The Sun, it's bankrupt. But it's a propaganda. You're now getting showbiz information, data as news. You're getting showbiz as many times as they can on the front page. They're not breaking any news. They're not breaking any major stories. You might get a bit of tittle-tattle and scandal, but that's not a newspaper. I wouldn't wipe my arse with it. And Sly News, will I watch that? What a shite. Everybody that's online now, you're going to be stopped. You are going to be stopped. Because they want you to do as you are told. There's no negotiating this. You've got evil in power, and they are going to bring laws in. Now they're talking about AI and kids. What? Now they're talking about the online safety bill, which was put into, had given royal assent, so was going to become law. And they went, no, we need to change that. And yet they haven't told us how they're going to change it. There's laws going through that we're not aware of, that these double-speak idiots turn around and start saying, oh, yeah, well, we talked about this and the bill's getting a second reading and no, you can't stop it now. No. Why are they making laws? Why? It's not to make things fair and just. It's not to have a judiciary that is there to protect the common man. No, the judiciary is there as a foible. It's just intellectual rigor. Oh, I'm better than you are. I am a better barrister than you are because I make more money than you do. Told you before, judiciary wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire. It's all fluff and nonsense at the top, and now you've got the front page, so-and-so, like this Giles Corrin. I wish him well, genuinely, I wish him well. Long life. Giles Corrin, bit of a boy, a writer, let's just put it that way, a writer for the broadsheets. And he's come out and said, I've got cancer. Right, I've got prostate cancer. Right, but well, I'm not going to be treated for it because it's it's not severe enough for me to need treatment. So, please, Just tell me which bit of my tiny little walnut brain doesn't get this. I've got cancer, doesn't need treating. Has it spread, Terry? He's like, oh, we're just going to, the specialists have told me that we're just going to observe it. What's he going to do? Stick his head up his arse? Cheers, Terry. And yet all these people that were saying to you, and look, Piers Morgan's in the shite now, because he was the one that was going, oh, well, if they're not going to take the jibber jabber, then take away their freedoms. No, mate. We just sat and laughed at you. Because I didn't take the jibber jabber because I knew what they were up to. I've been balls deep in this kind of information since 1989. So I've told you before, if it waddles like a duck, quacks like a duck, and swims like a duck, it's a fucking duck. And all you needed to do was work on your gut biome. And there's been more people die from the jibber jabber than from the shit that they were telling us was going to kill us. I'm not judging anyone, because everyone was trying to do the best thing by their family, by the community, by everyone. But sometimes you have to be standing up and counted. Piers Morgan was saying, no. If you're not taking it, well, we're going to take away your freedoms. You should be put to death, or whatever iteration he was saying it. And now he's come out saying, well, look, everyone, I just was going by the information that I was given. Hadaway and shite, man. That man knows what's going on with propaganda. He was the editor of the Daily Mirror. He was the man that put the picture on the front of the Daily Mirror that purported to be our soldiers beating up some detainees. That's as far as I'll go with that. But it was turned out that the bloody picture was faked. Publishing be damned. So now he's in the shite because everybody's turned on him. The same way that everybody's turning on Keir Starmer. And we'll get to him because, let me give you the Reform poll today. This has been published today. So I'm just telling you about the Reform rally, March 28th, 16,000 people. Farage is going to want to do what Trump has done, because he sees it as a good playbook and it'll get him success. Good on him. So Reform, in the latest poll, has gone up 13 points to 27% of the voting. Labour, down 11 points, down to 23%. And the Tories are down 3 points to 21%. So I'll reiterate those numbers to you. Reform are 4 points clear of Labour. And this was on the 29th of January. It's still nearly 2 weeks since. 27% to 23% of Labour, and the Tories are 6 points behind Reform at 21%. Now, I will reiterate, please don't take that as gospel, but I'm telling you this, the polls are bullshit. They're all bullshit. They're all lies. It just depends. It has to be over 1,000 people, but it just depends who's asking the questions. And most people on the streets now do not give honest answers. Why? Because they're scared. They're scared that if they say, oh, well, I'm going to vote this way, I'm going to vote that way, that they're going to be labelled right-wing and they're going to be stuck in jail for 3 years for just saying, I'm going to vote Reform. Now, I may be being facetious, but I'll guarantee you that people don't want to tell other people how they're going to vote. And they shouldn't. Because, as I've said before, it should be between you and your conscience. And it should be that every single human being over 18 years old in this country has to vote. There's no ifs, and buts, or maybes. You have to vote. Don't stick your head up your arse. Don't stick your head in the sand. You have to start engaging, because these people are killing off your kids and your grandkids. These people do not care about you, your family, your heritage, your ancestors, or any children or grandchildren going forward. They don't care. You're a cash cow. Do as you're fucking told. We're telling you what to do, and you better say, when we say jump, you say how high. When a politician says to me, jump, I say to him, is that WhatsApp group in Portcullis House where you can order gay men over for sex? Oh, you don't know that? You need to watch these lives every week. Portcullis House is like a bloody Roman orgy. Not that I have any personal insight or experience of that, but there's a WhatsApp group. Nadine Dorries told everyone there's a WhatsApp group, man. Reform are going to kill the political classes, metaphorically, of course. But that poll, they were neck and neck with Labour. Labour's gone down 11 points. Reform's up 13 points. They're now 4 points clear and 6 points clear of the Tories. It doesn't matter what those corrupt, inept and out of answers political party. So I'll leave these up here as a historical document, telling you Labour and the Tories are walking backwards into obscurity. They're done, they're finished, no one can trust them. And do you want to know why? Do I go into this now? I'm going to go into Starmer in like 5 or 10 minutes or so, because I've got other things to talk about that I really want to talk about tonight. And I was only going to do an hour. Have you heard of the name Tony Martin? Now, 20 odd years ago, maybe 25 years ago, 26 years ago, 1999, Tony Martin's just died, aged 80. I don't know whether you remember the story, but Tony Martin lived in a farmhouse with land. He had expensive stuff in the house and literally just gave up because people were going to his house and nicking stuff. And he couldn't stop them. He didn't know what to do. He wanted to stop them. So, scum-sucking pond life called Fred Barris and his mate, Brendan Fearon, went down to Tony's house to nick some gear. Now, it was a fair old slap from Newark, where Fred Barris and Brendan Fearon lived, to Tony's farmhouse. And Tony shot them. Fred Barris died, Brendan Fearon was injured. And because I know Newark like the back of my hand, I saw Brendan Fearon riding about on a cycle, a pedal cycle, loads of times in Newark. And Fred Barris, well, there's a term that we use in 2025, you fuck about, you find out. I don't wish death on anyone. I'm not a man that is raised to violence, although these intellectual pygmies boil my pish. Violence doesn't solve anything. But Tony Martin felt he had no other choice. He was given, I think, 9 years and served 3 years for murder, but it was Newark to Cambridge. So that's quite a slap down from Newark to Cambridge to go and nick some stuff from somebody's house. And the somebody was in his house trying to defend his house, his home, his possessions. And they scum-sucking pond life. I was broadcasting in the East Midlands at the time, 1999. Fred Barris and Brendan Fearon from just up the road in Newark. Nottingham to Newark, 20 minutes. But then they changed the law. The Crime and Courts Act 2013. So basically, and I'm quoting now, householders' defence has been the sort of overarching description. You can now use reasonable force. So would it have been reasonable force for Tony Martin to shoot dead somebody in the back? The powers that be felt it was. Because he was doing 9 years, it was reduced from murder to manslaughter, and then after 3 years he was allowed out. So it has to be reasonable force and not grossly disproportionate. I was told once, and I'm not going to name anyone, I'm not going to tell you how, why, or why, but in law, the most sacred room in your home is the bedroom. Not for those reasons, yeah, wrong. But in law, and I'm paraphrasing here, I'm not going to quote law, I'm paraphrasing. And this was from somebody who would know, and this was on one of my phone-ins. Depends on the reasonable force and not grossly disproportionate. So I'm aware of someone who's lying in his bed and his missus goes, somebody downstairs. What? Somebody downstairs. Go and take care of it. And he's like, oh, thanks very much. Right, okay. So as he's walking downstairs, he's thinking, what can I do? A baseball bat? No, I don't have one of those. Cricket bat? Don't have one of those. What can I do? He had some steel toe-cap boots that he used for his work. So he picked them up, went downstairs, some little scrote, lights goes on, my mate sees him, swings with his boot, and he said how his jaw wasn't smashed into tiny little pieces, I'll never know, but he had to go to hospital. He said just that one crack at him, he shit himself when he saw me appear, because my mate's A, tasty, and B, is a big boy, big old lump. And when I was having this conversation, so I relayed this story to this guy, and this guy said to me, he said, look, the bedroom is the sacrosanct room in the house. Above all others, it's sacrosanct in law. He said, if you find somebody and then drag them into your bedroom and have words of advice to them, if you catch what I'm saying, this is YouTube after all, and then you call the police and go, there's somebody in my bedroom. What do you mean? There's somebody in my bedroom. I found him here. I don't know how he got there. He's just lying there. I think he's injured. I think he's got 2 broken arms, 2 broken legs. I think his jaw might need rewiring. But I was asleep in my bed and I just heard some noise. And then I switched the light on and there he was lying there. And the Rosses will come in and go, what are you doing? Oh, he beat me up. What do you mean he beat you up? Well, he beat me up badly. Your word against his, or hers, or theirs. And in law, the bedroom is the most sacrosanct. So somebody that happens to have multiple injuries in your bedroom can't explain how he got there, because how he got there would be breaking and entering, or if you, what do they call it in Scotland? Theft slipping, or hame sucking. The Scots will know what I'm talking about. It's his word against yours. But your word is that I was in my bedroom and I was in my bed and I heard this noise and he's lying. And his word won't stand up in a court of law. But to get it back to Tony Martin, the whole, I remember 99 when it happened, but the whole country was turning against scum-sucking pond life, feeling that they were entitled to just go to somebody's house and just nick whatever they wanted. And Tony Martin was sort of standing up for the man and woman on the street who were at the end of their tether, who weren't allowed to defend themselves or their property or their chattels. And then the mainstream media were like on his back and trying to find the story. And he was done for murder initially, reduced to manslaughter, and he only served 3 years. What a life he led, having to deal with that. And the word from what I read today is he just gave up on life. How unfair would that be? You literally wanted to stop these people nicking your stuff, coming down to your house, because there was lots of quite expensive stuff seemingly in his house, that they came down and wanted to nick his stuff. As I say, and I will reiterate this, nobody should lose their lives. And I'm not a man that rises to violence. I train in ninjutsu, so I don't have to use it. I'll leave that with you. But if I do, I'll probably end up on the front page of the Sun. But Tony Martin died today, aged 80. And all of the country backed him, but the law didn't. The police didn't. The politicians didn't. The judiciary didn't. He was crying out to be helped and supported. And all he could do was make sure he was armed, because nobody would help him. And that's a similar situation for where we find ourselves in society nowadays. This knife crime, all these stabbings, all the machetes, all the seemingly it's fancy Dan knives. It's not, it's kitchen knives that are being used. I want to know where these machetes have come from. And let's get to Idris Elba. Let me ask you a question before I talk about Idris Elba, because it kind of dovetails into what I'm talking about, Tony Martin. I'm going to ask you a question. 1 for yes, 2 for Agincourt. Would you have done the same thing as Tony Martin? 2025 now, it's 26 years later. Would you still do what Tony Martin felt that he had to do to deal with things? Would it be 1 for yes or 2 for no? As I say, I ask these questions not to judge anyone at all, because sometimes these questions are very difficult questions. Sometimes you could very readily say yes or no, but actually, when you're facing 2 strangers, pitch black in your house, and you don't know what to do, would you trust the boys and girls in blue? Would you trust the judiciary to do the right thing by you? Because that, in essence, is what I'm asking you. Would you have done the same thing as Tony Martin, given the same circumstances? 1 for yes, 2 for no. We'll talk about Idris Elba. Thank you for all your votes. I will look at them later. Was that Rich saying I wouldn't trust the CBS? Well, you know who was Director of Public Prosecutions? Correct. And I think it was it 2008? Was it 1999? When did he take over? He was 8 or 9 years. I know he left in 2008. It might have been in the 2000s. So it might have been slightly later than when Tony Martin was cause celeb within the mainstream media. And I wish his soul a safe and speedy journey, because the way that society treated him was just abhorrently. I know that somebody lost their life. So Idris Elba, an interesting character and a different level, caring, understanding 90s type. So in a fanfare of glory, he comes into our consciousness. Great actor, he's done loads of stuff, he's been a DJ, got as a DJ, but now he said, oh, we will sort knife crime. Right, okay, where's the ideas, Idris? I haven't got any. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. So how are we going to tackle this knife crime? Well, there's Ant Middleton. Special Forces, Ant Middleton. He's had people want to kill him, want to blow his head off. And again, I'm not speaking for Ant Middleton, but I would rather have somebody who's been trained in the art of surviving anything and isn't afraid to get the job done. Idris Elba, as I say, he's a different level, caring, understanding 90s type. He suggests, and I'm going to give you the direct quote here. Well, we can, kitchen knives can be blunted. Has he been in my kitchen? And other knives be banned to prevent stabbings. Now, this is a whole new world, a whole new level of intellect here. Because he's, as they do in the East, they treat the cause, not the symptoms, but we in the West treat the symptoms, not the cause. Now, Idris Elba is treating the symptoms, not the cause. The gangs don't give a flying. Some of the initiations are, go and stab somebody. And he's saying, let's blunt the kitchen knives, and the other knives, well, they can be banned to prevent stabbings. That's never going to help the situation in a month of Sundays. Yeah, Ray says, plastic cutlery from now on. So I don't know who's giving him these lines. I don't know whether someone's just said, an actor, he'll just repeat the lines. But blunting kitchen knives, what the actual? And then other knives be banned to prevent stabbings. We've got these intellectual pygmies in governance who are saying, well, we're going to stop people from being able to buy knives. You're going to have to ID when you, at the point of sale, and you're going to have an ID when you receive the goods. And these kids are laughing their caps off at the stupidity of these politicians, because the kids will just get it delivered to their gran. Gran, can you get me this? What's that for, darling? Oh, I'm doing some outdoor survival stuff, and I need a sharp knife for cutting down trees and things, and building bivvies and building survival shelters. Of course, darling, yes, just have it delivered to me. I haven't got any money in my bank account. Can you buy it, Gran? And I'll give you the money for it, and then just have it delivered to you. Nobody bats an eyelid. Nobody. Gran thinks she's doing the right thing by her grandchildren. Idris needs to just stick to being a DJ. Has he been to any Diddy parties? I know he's quite friendly with Harry. Harry's been to quite a few Diddy parties. Did Harry say, yeah, Idris, mate, come to party, you can DJ for us. It's a Diddy's party. If brains were dynamite, wouldn't have enough to blow his cap off. Have you been watching this, the evolution of this DC crash with the Blackhawk Pat 25? People can't work it out. I mean, the Donald was doorstepped by the journalists, and he was like, well, not sure what's going on here. But literally, this Black Hawk was at its flying ceiling of 200 feet, and then it just went up into the body of this plane that was carrying about 60 people, approaching the south runway, number 33. So all of a sudden, the conspiracy theorists are like, oh, runway 33, obviously it's the Bilderbergers, obviously it's the Club of Rome, obviously it's the WEF. And people are like, what? Now, in that part of the world, air traffic control, I would suggest that that's a pretty tough job to be ATC, air traffic control. And flight 5342 was on its final approach to South Runway 33. Blackhawk was on a training flight. So obviously they don't want to tell people that the military are out playing about with their hardware. And they were flying on, this is the Blackhawk, they were flying on observational flight rules, which means if you can see it, it's there. If you can see it, avoid it. Pitch black, possibly using night goggles. Now the Blackhawk, pilot and co-pilot didn't say they saw anything. There was another passenger jet in the area, and that was taking off, not landing. So maybe they didn't see flight 5342, but they saw the other one and confirmed the other one to the tower, air traffic control. But how the hell did they not see flight 5342's navigational lights? You know when your instinct says, something's not quite right here. It doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not linear. It's not, there's something in your gut saying, not sure about this. Well, the Black Hawk pilot and co-pilot didn't request ATC to, air traffic control, to confirm the altitude of the plane that it eventually went into. And it was a directional flight path. So one was coming in down, one was flying at 200 meters ceiling, and then went up another 100 meters to 300 meters. So they may have been wearing night vision goggles. But now the theory is, and I can confirm that there was a theory around 9/11 where the planes that went into the two towers had no one on board. Who are we? Because WTC-7, the building WTC-7, World Trade Center 7 building, was pulled. That was a demolition job. So why would they demolish WTC-7 when the mainstream media told us that, well, it was some of the debris fell from the two towers and the debris set it on fire and well, it collapsed. And we're sitting there going, I know we're here, man. We've seen right through this bollocks. And it was the fly-by-wire. It was, can't tell you how I know this. But I can tell you that I do. That if you look at one of the planes that went into the tower, as it's heading towards the tower, it's coming into the tower and then it does this. Comes into the tower and then it does this. Comes into the tower and then it does this. The person that told me said to me, that's a jet fighter pilot move. I said, right, what do you mean by that? He said, it's a jet fighter pilot move. Do you not understand what I'm telling you? Right? So it wasn't a couple of camel shaggers that were doing Florida aircraft training. Correct. They didn't have the skill. They didn't have the understanding or know-how. He said that was a jet fighter pilot move. So I started doing a bit of research, and there was there is a book with almost a playbook. And remember, the Library of Congress has every book published in America. Every book is put into the Library of Congress. And there is a book that you can get on eBay. It's still available. Christ knows how. But it's called Storming Heaven. And when I interviewed David Icke, I told David about this book. And basically, Storming Heaven is the playbook for 9/11. It's about terrorists getting hold of planes in whichever way and flying them into designated targets, including the Pentagon. Now, obviously, a plane did not go into the Pentagon. Please don't insult me to say that a plane went into the Pentagon. It wasn't, it was a missile. So why would they do that? Oil. And the fact that the American military had lost, was it $3 trillion? It just disappeared somewhere. How? Didn't know anything about, not me, Your Honor. Within 3 or 4 days of 9/11 happening, George Bush, President George W. Bush, sanctioned tens of billions of dollars to the military. And then sure enough, they go into Iraq. And what's the first thing the Americans did when they went into Iraq? Secured the oil fields. Not, let's get after the bad men, let's shoot the bad men, let's kill the bad men. No, let's secure the oil fields first. And then within a few more days, literally a couple of days, Putin was at George W. Bush's ranch in Texas, agreeing a deal to get the oil and the gas out of the Caspian Sea. Now, why would they do that? Because in 2000, at current world consumption levels in 2000, there was 300 years of oil and gas. And the Americans and the Russians wanted it out of the Caspian Sea. So why would that deal be done within a couple of days of these passenger planes going into the Twin Towers? So I'm telling you this, to get back to Blackhawk, those planes were flown remotely into the towers. Some people say. Whether it's correct or not is down to you to do your research. But I'm telling you now, some people laugh. They still laugh. But that's because They don't get it. They just do as they're told by the groove tube in the corner of the room. If the groove tube tells them, oh, it was a couple of people who, went on got flying lessons in Florida on tiny little planes, and then they're running a 757 with jet fighter pilot moves into one of the towers on 9/11. No. But this kind of information gets you killed. And one of the so-called hijackers, and this was printed in the Sun newspaper within a couple of days of 9/11, and he said, Dad, I'm in Egypt. What? They're saying that I've flown one of those planes into the Twin Towers. I can't have done. I'm in Egypt. And the dad, and I quote, told the Sun newspaper that. There was too many mistakes made. I mean, the insurance paid out. They had to. But if they can fly planes into the Twin Towers, send a missile into the very office that had the paperwork for the trillions of dollars that went missing, and they say, oh, it's somebody flying a plane. Do you know Condoleezza Rice had oil tankers named after her? You can Google that. You can get the pictures. Condoleezza Rice was an oil woman. And they wanted to get the oil out of the Caspian Sea. And George W. wasn't looking very well the other day, by the way. Jimmy Carter's funeral, did you see him? He started a long paper around when he was a boy, or maybe it was the alcoholism when he was younger. So you've got all this stuff going on, and the Blackhawk, they've made a mistake. Where's the black box? It's in the river. Well, go and get it then. What about the passenger jet? Where's the black box? It's in the river. Go and get it then. And what about the air traffic control? Oh, well, it was all this, thermite pulled 9/11. Do you know the thing that paused that DC Blackhawk thing? The thing that alerted me, and I was on air, I told you this before, I was watching everything. We had all the news channels on, we had American radio, because we were relaying some of the New York radio stations. This was in Real Radio in South Wales. We were relaying some of the American talk stations so we could get information instantly. I was reading everything, I was watching everything, I was listening to everything. I literally was just sat there, a bit like Max Headroom with the blip verts, where you just program. I had to get everything. And my boss said, not sure we're going to put you on air tonight. So I was like, right, okay, why? He said, not sure what you're going to say. So I'm not going to say anything. I always tell you the truth. Well, yeah, that's the problem. It's your version of the truth. I said, not my version of the truth. It's the bloody truth. He said, well, we'll have a think about it. Anyway, they said to me about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we still haven't made our mind up, got about 7 o'clock, okay, you can go on air. But promise me, you don't do your usual malarkey. I said, I'm not going to do the usual malarkey, I'm going to do what I do. That's your usual malarkey. I said, no, it's not. Let's just realise that this is a black swan event and things will never be the same after this. So I went on air and I said, if you've got any insight you can give me, please call in. And this pilot rang in and he said, Adrian, there are things in place to stop hijacking. And basically, a pilot, if he thinks he's being hijacked, he has a transponder in the cabin, the flight deck, and he puts 3 numbers into that transponder. I can't tell you, as in him, the pilot, I can't tell you, as in me, what that 3-pin code would be. But they would have done it. And he said there wasn't a 3-pin code put into that transponder. The jet over Philadelphia, I'm telling you now, that was shot down. And George W. Bush said, and I quote, you won't find this anywhere. But But I saw it with my own eyes because I was watching all the news feeds and waiting for the teleprompter to spit out stuff from IRN and all the news sources. He turned to the camera and said, and I quote, "The shooting down of that plane over Pennsylvania is the most difficult decision I've had to take as president." You won't find it anywhere except a BBC docudrama around about, where was I? 2004, 2005. The BBC did this huge docudrama about 9/11. And within that docudrama, they had Dick Cheney say in the Situation Room at the White House, the president has ordered that plane to be shot down. And that's as far as they would go. Because you won't find what I've just told you anywhere. And if you do, please let me know, because I'd love a copy. But I know he said it, because I watched it. So pilots have the ability to tell air traffic control that the plane's been hijacked without the hijackers knowing. I'm sure they do now. So this Blackhawk, it's not sitting... Oh, sorry. So I was going to tell you about 9/11. The reason why my antenna went up, my bullshit antenna went up, it was when George Bush appeared at where the Twin Towers were brought down. All of a sudden, there was these guys going, USA, USA, USA. And I was thinking, hang on a second, why are they doing that? That's a bit random. It's a bit odd. The President of the United States is standing there, and these supposed workies are going, USA, USA. They don't know what's gone on. I don't know what's gone on. I'm getting all of the reportage through, and I still haven't quite worked this out. So how are there people there, construction workers, going USA, USA, as if the USA is being attacked? But we were told that the first plane was an accident that went into one of the towers. It was an accident. Everybody forgets that. And it was that point I thought, hang on, this is not sitting comfortably with me. Them shouting USA, I'm guaranteed that the mainstream legacy media are going to come out and say America's under attack. And then there was, if you remember this, there was a news channel that cut to one of the hotels, and maybe in DC, and said, there's terrorists in the hotel. There's terrorists there. And, well, we've got a SWAT team about to go in. And then there's all these people standing on a wall around at the front of like the foyer of this hotel. And a SWAT team, literally, it was like an American movie. They were instructed, go! And I thought, hang on a second. Is this like a movie or something where the director's going, and action? And sure enough, this SWAT team went into the hotel, and then like 5 minutes ago, oh, they've gone. Yeah, the terrorists were here, but they've gone. And then it came out that, oh, well, it was Osama bin Laden. Yeah, it was Osama bin Laden. And, well, he's been in his cave in the Tora Bora mountain range in Afghanistan, and he's called in saying, brilliant, brilliant. We've stuffed it to the infidel. Brilliant. And I thought, hang on a second. Is that the cave in the Tora Bora mountain range that the CIA arranged for him? Because he was taking on the Russians, because the Russians wanted to get into the Caspian Sea and that's why the Russians went into Afghanistan in the 80s. I keep telling you, it's about oil and gas. Everything is about energy independence. Absolutely everything that is going on day in, day out, now, tomorrow, and the day after is all about Crimea. It's all about the oil and gas under the Black Sea. It's all about the oil and gas under the Gaza Strip and in the East Mediterranean Sea. And if you don't hear from me again, please take that and look after your kids. Because they're just going to bring Dancing on Ice is coming, and we've got a funny president in America. You're distracted, all of it. Caspian Sea, been producing oil and gas out of there at a terrific rate. It's gone from the Caspian Sea to a warm water port in Pakistan. But the Russians and the Americans control it. The Russians and the Americans will control the oil and gas that comes out of Crimea and the Black Sea. And the Americans and the Israelis are going to control, because they built a $300 million port to get aid into Gaza for the Gazans. And then, did you miss it? They said, oh, we're going to demolish it. Why would you spend $300 million on something and then scuttle it? Because it's the setup now for the oil and gas coming out of the East Mediterranean Sea and underneath the Gaza Strip. It was all ever thus. Netanyahu, he's evil. I've told you this. He's evil. Why is he evil, Adrian? Because he knows what he's trying to do. He knows he has to stay in power, and that's it. So don't take what the bullshit legacy media are telling you, because it's bullshit. And that Blackhawk, I'm telling you now, my bullshit antenna is pinging. There's something just not quite right. Shall we get on to... I'll get on to Starmer in a moment. I want to ask you to keep an eye on this Amber Heard 2.0, this Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. It's, again, it's a distraction, but the reason I'm mentioning it is because you are going to get an insight into Hollywood that you've never had before. Even Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp, you got a certain amount of insight, but this is... I mean, we've got Hollywood and we've got the Diddy bringing down Hollywood and Hollywood shitting themselves because they know they've been found out. They know they're going to be found out. They know that there's a load of videotapes going around Hollywood that's showing various things by various people that shouldn't be doing those things to kids. So now the Blake Lively, with her husband Ryan Reynolds, countersuing. Justin Baldoni. He's got all the evidence. He knows what he's talking about, so does his lawyer. But you know, I looked at this and I thought, who's the only one that's going to win? Is it going to be Blake Lively or is it going to be Justin Baldoni? No, neither. It's going to be the lawyers. The lawyers making millions. They don't care. They don't care. Lawyers don't. They're in it for the money and they don't care how they get it. So who has the evidence? It's this online updatedness. Keep an eye on it, because Hollywood is about to be exposed big time. It's going to blow your mind what's going to come out and how they do things and how they conduct business in Hollywood. A bit like the Diddy parties and the Epstein parties and the Epstein's everything. Vixtech says there's a tempest in a teacup. I know, but it's a distraction, and they need the distraction so you don't get what they've been up to with kids. 250,000 or 300,000 kids in America are going missing every year? Where are they going? Disneyland in Florida, and then hiding out there for loads of fun. Hundreds of thousands of kids going missing. We'll get to Tony Blair in a minute. I want to get back to this, Starmer. Now, there's yet another lockdown breach being put at his doorstep. Because not only did he have beers in lockdown and curries in lockdown, and these people are saying, well, you know, I was head of the opposition and I had to be there, and it was law. It was law. It wasn't anything else other than law. It's the law of the land. There were emergency measures in place and everybody, absolutely everybody, had to adhere to the laws. Now, we had some MP went from London up to Glasgow and the whole country was shitting itself. Why did they? And she got told off. That's all I'm going to leave that there. But for Starmer, they're looking for every which way to get this guy gone. The Labour Party, I'm telling you, it's the Labour Party, the anti-Semitic Labour Party. How can the anti-Semitic Labour Party have a man and the Jewish family at the head, the titular head of the Parliamentary Labour Party, Sir Keir Starmer? How can they do that? They're anti-Semites. They just wanted him to get them into power. And then they're saying, oh, we want to stay in power. They've gone, I've told you, the Tories and the Labour Party, and mark my words, they are walking backwards into obscurity. They're never, ever, ever going to come back to power. Ever. They're done. They're finished. They're over. I will suggest that if Reform get anything like the purchase that they're getting politically, then there'll be a shit ton of Tory MPs defecting over to Farage and Reform. There will be. There will be. You can see it a mile away. So my observation and my view of the Labour Party currently, it's the most corrupt, inept and criminal government in history. Bar none. Bar none. When you have freebies being given to either the Mayor of London or the Prime Minister or the Deputy Prime Minister or the Chancellor who's getting her freebies, they're all in it to win it. For me, if you're getting a freebie, it's corruption. They have no ideas and no clues, so they're inept. They've asked the Labour Party, Sir Keir Starmer's been asking people for ideas. That tells me they're inept. And criminal goes hand in hand with corruption. So if you've got, and if this suddenly cuts off, I've got no way of charging this while I'm doing this live. So if it suddenly cuts off, me batteries run out. Do you know how I know that Sir Keir Starmer is a liar and this can be proven? Before he was elected as Labour Prime Minister, he said, and it was all over the press, that he would restrict immigrants to 100,000 per year. Remember that? That was the headline. I'm going to restrict immigrants and allow only 100,000 per year. And I said to you at the time, once he gets in, he'll change that. He'll flip-flop that. He's been proven to flip-flop. So he will change that. Now, what they're doing is citizen applications will be allowed. Now, I'm not quite sure who came up with that idea of citizen applications, because we're not a citizenship. We are a monarchy, so we are subjects of the crown. And if Starmer thinks that you can call people citizens, you can call them citizens of Europe when we were in Europe, but we're not in Europe anymore, we are a sceptred isle. We have a crown right at the very top, and thereby we are subjects of the crown. And they're saying that citizen applications will be allowed. Everybody that's coming across. Everybody. And that scientific age testing law is going to be scrapped. So they're just going to allow all of them in. All of them, don't care. All of them, come in, sign there, right, there you go. Free house, free money, free food, free everything. And you can have the free NHS, just in case your missus wants to come across and you want to pop out some sprogs. NHS will facilitate that for you, absolutely free. And if we haven't got any space for you, we'll put you on private medical health care. The taxpayer can pay it, and you will get the best treatment in the world, whilst the people putting into the system can go and fuck off. Remember Sir Keir Starmer, we're going to smash the boats, we're going to smash the gangs. And he's done neither. He was lying. But it's just the usual cut and thrust of politics, isn't it, Sir Keir? My hairy arse. And now Labour are still blaming the Tories. Oh, 14 years of Tory rule. Well, actually, no. If you know what the problem is, you can find the solution. Implement the solution, and then say, even though the Tories did what they did, we are the Labour Party, we are making change for the better. We are making change for the man and woman on the street who are knocking their pipe out day in, day out, just to put food on the table, even though the council tax is going up, utility bills are going up, even though the price of food's going up, because the spending of government is going to have inflation rise. They don't care. Shut the fuck up. You will do as you're told. You are a cash cow. These people are evil. How many times do I have to tell you this? It's going to be between Rachel from accounts. Ginger Growler's gone, finished, done. She's not of a sufficient level to be able to mix with a hoi polloi. She's not of a certain level that she can smoothly deal with Donald Trump or Ursula von der Leyen or Klaus Schwab. Rachel from accounts, and we're streeting. It's a straight fight to the death for the prime ministerialship of this country. And yet, Rachel is being given her orders from an NGO, a non-governmental organisation. It's called the World Economic Forum. Now, two-tier, free gear, is actually taking us to a place, a level of caring, understanding 90s type ship. It's above and beyond anywhere we've been as a collective ever. So what he's going to give us is a special kind of caring, understanding 90s type ship. He is going to give us the worst of all worlds. And you've just heard me say to you that this man should be doing for the greater good of this sceptred isle, the greater good of the people that voted him in, whether erroneously, mistakenly, or genuinely. He and his team, I'll use that term loosely, should be doing the best for this country. And what they're going to do, they're going to give up all the Brexit freedoms that we were given when we left the European Union, and they're going to do it via the back door. Now look, according to the newspapers, free gear Kia, doing it by the back door, not a first. Queer Kia, queer as folk Kia. So he's going to give up all our Brexit freedoms because that's what he's negotiating with Klaus and Ursula von der Leyen and all the Marxist idiots in Europe. And once they get hold of us, they are going to make sure that we never are allowed to go ever again. And then they're alienating Donald Trump, the most powerful man in the West. The art of the deal. Honestly, if you sit them in a quiet room, Donald, Labour Party, all you hear is because it's the backsides of the Labour Party, the Parliamentary Labour Party, who know that sitting opposite them is the man. America first. And if only this country had a politician that would put Great Britain first. And just remember this, it's not difficult to remember, dictators cancel elections. And now we've got this wooden puppet who's sort of going, there's going to be a lot of change. And because there's going to be a lot of change, then we're going to have to change things. And to change things, we're going to have to delay slightly some of the local council elections. That'll be the bloody local council elections where everybody's going to vote reform and get the Tories and Labour gone. This is not the art of politicking. This is not the cut and thrust of politics. This is corrupt and evil. Dictators council elections. I'll do Tony Blair because I have been on this channel, I've been banging on about this, and I'm only going to do about another 10 minutes or so. I told you in July that Tony Blair, and the words that I gave you were the individual digital identifier. They were the words I gave you. Because Tony Blair had been wanting to bring this in for decades, since the last time he was in power. He's not even in power. And I also told you that if you vote Keir Starmer into power, you will also get Tony Blair, and Gordon Brown will rear his ugly head again, and Peter Mandelson. So far, we've got Peter Mandelson as ambassador to America. We've got Tony Blair now saying, well, the problem is all these people coming into the country, we need to have individual digital identifiers. In fact, he said, bring in digital IDs to get tough on the population. Who's he talking about? So Tony Blair, Charles Linton, to use his middle name, Anthony Charles Linton Blair, Bow Street Magistrates, Charles Linton. He's backing these digital IDs and facial recognition. Because he believes the public, that's me and you, taxpayers, me and you, will gladly sacrifice, and I'm quoting directly here, will gladly sacrifice privacy for efficiency. Two things to say about that. One, what was Tony Blair's name and details and contacts doing in Jeffrey Epstein's little black book? Say that to you again. What was Tony Blair's numbers, details, contacts doing in Jeffrey Epstein's little black book? Just leave that one there for you to ponder. And secondly, he thinks that me and you, the public, will gladly sacrifice privacy for efficiency. So he's saying, and remember, I will tell you till I'm blue in the face, they give you a solution to a problem you never thought you had, except we know we've got a problem with the influx. We know we've got a problem. And our leaders are not doing anything about it. They're giving them freebies. It's costing the taxpayers. And we have a man that's leading the Parliamentary Labour Party that is literally bringing the country to its knees to break it. To break it. Why does he want to break it? £300 billion to Ukraine for a war that no longer exists. Because Putin wants to do a deal, Sniffy wants to do a deal, Trump wants to do a deal. Because they're all after the black gold and the gas under the Black Sea. So stop the war. Let's get on with it. Let's start extracting it and making ourselves trillionaires. But Tony Blair wants in. And why does he want in? Because if he's got the contract to do it in this country, he can get the contract to do it in other countries. Remember Rich Boy Sunak told the Chinese, you're not getting into this, mate. No. How do we? You're not getting into this. The Chinese can't have this. Well, it wouldn't surprise me if Infosys didn't have their grubby little mitts in this somewhere. So now we've got Tony Blair standing up as the chief rabble-rouser for digital IDs. We've already got digital IDs. I've got my bloody driver's license. I've got my passport. I've got my NHS number. I've got my national insurance number. They're all cross-referenced. Biometrics for the NHS, HMRC, national insurance, bank accounts, mobile. It's all there. It is literally all there. And they're telling us Tony Blair is trying to be Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Palatable. Yeah, well, we'll just do it because the country, they would rather gladly sacrifice privacy for efficiency. Do you now recognise how evil this man is? He doesn't care about you. Neither does Starmer. Starmer was on stage with Blair doing an interview before he got elected as Prime Minister. And I told you. These people are so evil, they don't literally care a jot about anybody else except themselves and their egos. So you've got a couple of options. I don't mean to frighten you, but it is a reality. There are ways and means around this. Make sure that you're at and on this live every single Wednesday and Sunday. 8 o'clock. Because I don't pull my punches. And I just keep looking for the stuff that's out there, but using my 40 years in the media, telly, radio, newspapers, magazines, I can see through the usual bullshit. See absolutely right through it. And tell other people about the channel if they're able to take what I can broadcast on a Sunday and a Wednesday and make sense of it. Because sometimes it is challenging and emotionally challenging. Some of it is quite difficult and unpalatable. But there is always hope. Please don't think that there isn't. There is. There is always hope because we have an indomitable spirit. They can't break it. They won't ever break it. We can see right through them. And soon enough, we will look back at this and go, bloody hell, Adrian, how did we get rid of him so quick? They are trying every which way to get rid of Sir Keir Starmer. He's trying every which way to stay as Prime Minister because he likes having the treatment, the limos, the power, the name, the meeting other people, and I'm Prime Minister of Great Britain. Well, put the fucking great back in fucking Britain, you retard. because that's all we're looking for. Do what Donald's doing. Put Britain first. Greater good every single day. And you told us you were going to act on our behalf and in our name. Just get on with it. So thank you to everyone who's supported the channel so far this evening. Thank you, Rich and Stuart and Bovril. The next live we'll get back to saying hello to people and engaging with stuff, because I think that's the best way to do things, and it makes what we talk about more palatable. We're a community. We're together. We don't back down. 2 world wars, 1 World Cup. We've never lost a fight yet. And this is a fight we're going to win, because they have to do what we tell them, not the other way around. Be safe. Stay well. My name's Adrian Allen. Thank you for your likes. Smash them on your way out. You're on. We've had a busy old night tonight. Thank you for your support. Make sure that you are always subscribed to the channel, because I know how YouTube works. If I don't put a video up, I lose a subscriber. And then the day after I'll lose another 2. And then the day after I'll lose maybe 5. So they don't like you not working hard. And them just blanking subscribers, that's how they get you to work harder. But I'll work the system out. Straight up and down. So whatever you do, wherever you go, there won't be where are we, Sunday? There won't be a live on Wednesday, but there will be a live next Sunday, and I look forward to your company at 8 o'clock. My name's Adrian Allen. Whatever you do, wherever you go, be safe, be well, but make sure you don't forget the Battenberg. See you on Sunday.